The resurrection of Byzantium, the Greek expansion and liberation of the islands. With the fall of Turkey and the storm of Russian fire extinguishing the crescent's last embers, the stage would be set for the unimaginable, the resurrection of Byzantium. Saint Paisios, speaking not in riddles but in divine clarity, foretold the reclaiming of the ancient Christian empire, not as a nostalgic ideal, but as a living reality born from the ashes of war. Greece remained still, but ready. At the outbreak of the Great War, Greece would not initially intervene. St. Paisios foresaw that the Greek army would remain stationed at its borders, watching the unfolding conflict between Russia, Turkey, and NATO. Greece would not fire the first shot, nor would it attempt to seize territory opportunistically. This restraint, ordained from above, would be the reason Greece would suffer the least, though war raged all around her. This act of divine obedience would spare her the judgment that would fall upon other nations. While others sent troops and weapons and suffered catastrophic losses, Greece would endure, poised, preserved, and protected for the role she was destined to play, a divine redistribution of lands. After Turkey's obliteration and the war's peak devastation, a heavenly council, as St. Paisios described, would oversee the rearrangement of borders and the realignment of powers. Greece would receive what was once hers, not by conquest but by divine justice. Constantinople would return to the Greeks. The Queen of Cities would no longer groan under foreign boots, but would ring once more with the divine liturgy. St. Paisios was explicit. It will be given to the Greeks, not because we are worthy, but because we suffered. This was not a political victory. It was a heavenly recompense, a restoration of what had been unjustly seized, liberation of the islands. The war would begin with Turkey attacking certain Greek islands, attempting to provoke and distract as the Great War unfolded. These islands would suffer greatly at first, bombarded, invaded, shaken. But St. Paisios prophesied that the islands would be liberated swiftly, and even more. Crete, long isolated and contested, would be restored in fullness. One by one, islands in the Aegean, once under Turkish threat or presence, would return under Orthodox hands. And not only the known ones, St. Paisios hinted at entire regions and lands that had belonged to the Orthodox for centuries would return in one sweeping moment, given not by diplomacy, but by divine authority, the role of the Blond race. St. Paisios repeatedly referred to the mysterious Blond race, a phrase commonly understood by his disciples to mean Russia. It would be this nation, permitted by God, that would destroy Turkey and pave the way for Byzantium's resurrection. But the Greeks would not be subordinate or dependent on the Russians. The elder made it clear, they will help us but not rule over us. The Blond race would sweep through, crush the enemy, and open the gates. But they would not remain. They would be used as an instrument and then depart, leaving the Greeks to re-establish their inheritance. Constantinople would return to orthodoxy, not as a Russian prize, but as a Greek resurrection. The new Constantinople, when the smoke cleared and the blood dried from the stones of Hagia Sophia, the Greeks would enter, not as tourists or beggars, but as sons returning home. The divine liturgy would once again be chanted in the great cathedral. The dome that had echoed the call to prayer in defiance would be cleansed and reconsecrated. St. Paisios saw not just a military event, but a spiritual one, a resurrection of liturgy, a rebirth of prayer, a Byzantium renewed. Not politically, but mystically. The torch would be passed again, not to emperors or generals, but to monks, priests, and faithful Orthodox souls.